How far can your desires take you? On the way to fulfilling your desires, your life may collapse and you may lose the most valuable thing in your life. Listen to this story.
For many, an open relationship may appear attractive and ideal, but in my experience, curiosity led to the downfall of my marriage. Presently, I am weighed down by the burden of my remorse, and my heart is laden with guilt. It wasn't always like this. At one point, I convinced myself that I had the right to pursue happiness beyond the boundaries of our marriage. I believed that an open relationship was the solution, a means of rationalizing my wants and silencing the seductive whispers of temptation. The tedium of our daily routine had taken its toll, and I longed for excitement and fervor. I thought that by seeking out other relationships, I could find what I've been missing for a long time. With trepidation, I brought up the idea of an open relationship to my husband, hoping he would empathize with and endorse my wishes. It all began with my outings. On one occasion, I met a man while out with some friends. He was charismatic and amusing, with a magnetic charm that captivated me effortlessly. In his company, I experienced a revitalization, a hint of the unencumbered spirit of my youth. He made me feel youthful and alluring once more. Amidst the monotony of married life, I had forgotten the feeling that now resurfaced. As the night wore on, we delved into profound discussions that surpassed the realm of trivial chatter. We laughed, exchanged aspirations, and exposed our innermost selves. It felt as though we had known each other for an eternity, and at that moment, time lost its significance. The bond between us ignited with an intensity I had not felt in a while. As time ticked away, my yearning for this man intensified, driven by a thirst for thrill and a hunger. Amidst the dimly lit atmosphere of the night, we were drawn towards his abode, with an unspoken understanding leading our way. An amalgamation of exhilaration and doubt coursed through us as we entered uncharted territories. Once the door was shut, the burden of my obligations evaporated, replaced by a heady feeling of liberation. At that instant, the outside world faded away, and we were engulfed in a tempest of emotions. He was entirely focused on me, but when the day broke, reality obliterated the fantasy we had woven. The burden of remorse descended upon me like an oppressive mist, weighing heavily on my conscience. The awareness of my actions washed over me, submerging me in remorse. The elation I had felt rapidly dissipated, supplanted by the stark reality of my transgressions. Driven by a combination of culpability and a frantic urge to rationalize my decisions, I made my way back home and confronted my oblivious husband. The words tumbled out of my mouth, laced with reluctance and a distorted sense of entitlement. I pleaded for an open marriage, clutching at any justification that would excuse my wrongdoing. My husband, taken aback and wounded, rejected the proposal. His eyes mirrored a melange of perplexity and disillusionment, the affection that had bound us now strained by my self-centered yearnings. My reluctance had left him with no choice but to confront the heart-wrenching truth. At that point, I shattered the trust we had constructed over years of commitment. Our matrimonial bedrock disintegrated, leaving behind the fragmented remnants of unfulfilled vows and ravaged aspirations. My self-centeredness had coerced him into making a decision he never envisioned, dismantling the existence we had erected in unison. My husband, wounded by my deeds, sought comfort in the embrace of another woman, just as I had craved the excitement of a bond that transcended our union. He, too, discovered himself captivated by someone novel. Compelled by a fusion of anguish, bewilderment, and a longing for affirmation, my husband sought sanctuary in this uncharted liaison. The appeal of a new bond seduced him, presenting an exit from the agony I had inflicted upon him. He craved the attention, fondness, and comprehension that appeared to be eluding us as his focus drifted towards the novel woman. Our once treasured connection began to recede into the background. Our shared instances were now colored with a tangible void, the fissures in our union expanding with each day. The attention and dedication that had been exclusively mine were now directed towards someone else, leaving me feeling like a mere footnote. I observed as my husband's eyes gleamed with rejuvenated eagerness, and his discussions revolved around this recent woman. His musings, once intertwined with mine, now orbited around the novel relationship, leaving me feeling deserted and substituted. The emptiness that had resided in his heart had been replenished, but at the expense of our own bond. As the weeks progressed, the fresh relationship intensified, constructing an emotional connection that eclipsed the remnants of our former intimacy. Their rendezvous became a haven, a refuge where my husband found the comfort he had been seeking amidst the wreckage of our union. It was painful for me to see how his devotion and concentration switched to another girl, realizing that I no longer use his love. As I contemplated taking drastic measures, as the only constant I could get was the unvarying intimacy from my new partner, I felt compelled to return and put an end to my husband's open relationship so that we could mend our relationship. And then I stumbled upon the most astonishing revelation. Enveloped by his novel relationship, my husband took a drastic action that exacerbated the chasm between us. As a demonstration of his loyalty and devotion to the recent woman in his life, he opted to transfer all his personal possessions and wealth to her as part of her personal inheritance. Impelled by a longing to cement their bond and showcase his unflinching commitment, he aimed to furnish her with financial safety and stability. The extent of his affection for his new lover was evident from his actions, as he willingly transferred his property to her. I observed the transfers with a sense of astonishment and deep sorrow. The material items that once represented our shared existence were now being transferred to someone else, serving as a bitter reminder of the growing gap between us. It felt like the remnants of our time together were slipping through my fingers. A new chapter had begun, one that didn't include me at all. Every legal document signed erased our past together, turning it into a distant memory. The emotional significance of our shared possessions paled in comparison to the irresistible charm of his new companion. His actions had a profound effect on me, making me feel betrayed and neglected. The repercussions of his decision extended far beyond the physical world. It was a symbolic act, indicating the end of our marriage as we had known it. The transfer of his personal belongings was the last step in breaking the bonds that had once united us, forcing me to confront the harsh truth that our relationship had been replaced by a new love, both in terms of emotions and possessions. As I struggled to come to terms with the enormity of this betrayal, I was consumed by feelings of guilt and regret. I couldn't help but hold myself accountable for the choices that had brought us to this point. My desire for an open relationship had set in motion a chain of events that now felt irreversible. I had unknowingly paved the way for my husband to seek comfort in the embrace of another, relinquishing not only our emotional bond, but also the material stability he had worked hard to establish. Despite the material sacrifices and unwavering dedication my husband had demonstrated towards her, it appeared that the initial thrill was gradually fading, giving way to the harsh realities of their bond. Then one day, my husband approached me with a heavy heart and a somber expression. The once sparkling glint in his eyes was now replaced by a blend of sadness and acceptance. He confessed that he could no longer uphold the facade, that the enthusiasm and fervor that had fueled and ignited their connection had dwindled away. With a deep sigh, he spoke the words that I had been dreading. He expressed his desire for a divorce, and the impact of his decision hit me like a ton of bricks, leaving me gasping for breath and utterly broken. The very foundation of our marriage had been eroded by our mistakes, and now he had opted to walk away from the ruins we had left behind. He admitted that the attraction towards the new woman had faded away, exposing differences and incompatibilities that they had overlooked in the heat of their affair. He had come to the realization that he had not only given up on our marriage, but also the stability and legacy we had created for a bond that eventually proved to be unfeasible. His words pierced through my heart, adding to the weight of the remorse and self-blame that had already consumed me. The repercussions of our decisions had reached a catastrophic culmination, and as our joint path disintegrated before my eyes, I was forced to confront the aftermath of our choices.